In the world's greatest country, in its most pivotal state, lies Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley, an economic hub that's as vibrant as it is ideologically eclectic. Its just over 700,000 residents will play a critical role in deciding the course of American leadership and thereby the world. Who are the thinkers, workers, and leaders that will decide our collective fate? Join me, Moshe Kurtz, as I walk through the valley and find out. Thank you for joining me today as I walked through the valley with Valentina Escobar-Gonzalez, founder of Beyond Engagement Social Media Solution and co-author of the best marketing book ever. And we are here live again at Jay's Local. Shout out to the Shirlines for hosting us this morning for our live recording session. It's great to be back. I took some tips from Mike Schlossberg and decided I didn't need to come in a suit and tie. So it's 80 degrees outside. I know the people viewing it can't feel the heat, but it was much needed. Now, I'm very captivated. We have right over here, for those viewing the video, the most amazing marketing book ever. And I want you to just tell me, because that sounds like a really confident proposal.
Yeah.
The most amazing marketing book ever. So how is it the most amazing marketing book ever?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show today. I'm really grateful to be here with you today. And the most amazing marketing book ever came out of a group in Discord. A whole bunch of marketers came up with this idea. We're going to write a book. If we're going to write a book, it's going to be the most amazing marketing book ever. And this book was comprised of 36 authors from 10 countries. So we have the physical version, but I can recommend the Audible version. That is going to be so much fun because you hear people from Ireland, Italy, Australia,
oh, wow.
My unique accent as well, but we have people from all over the globe recording this book. So each one of us wrote a chapter, and it was so much fun. It was a great project.
Right. But there's so much material out there nowadays about how to market oneself. So what do you think is the value proposition that set this book apart? Like, tell me the story behind it.
So the story behind it is we're in the Discord group together and we decided, hey, why don't we all write a book collectively, a community book? And I wrote the chapter on Instagram, but there was different chapters, different types of marketing. You know, there's Facebook, there's AI, there's strategy marketing. All of that is encompassed in the book.
So I'm going to have to ask you to make a pitch for me because I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I was telling you off recording that there's a certain subculture in the Jewish community that's into WhatsApp statuses.
Oh my goodness, yes, you told me that. That was super enlightening.
Well, the interesting thing is, so in the more very traditional elements of the Orthodox Jewish community, they didn't want to use things like Facebook and traditional social media. But they would use WhatsApp for international calls.
Okay.
Then WhatsApp decided that they would go ahead and they would add a status feature to it.
Yes.
And once that status feature was added, these folks who were
game over.
Yeah, so these folks who were trying to avoid using social media, they were grandfathered into it.
Yeah.
And then that became the social media of this like niche community.
Yeah.
But that's a long way of me saying that I never really got into the Instagram scene.
Yeah.
So tell me and our listeners what we're missing.
Yeah, so Instagram is so great. This is great for anyone that has a small business or is working on a personal brand. Instagram has so many thousands of people on there all the time. So when we look at stories, just in general, when we're looking at things that disappear every day, we have about 800 million people that utilize stories every single day. So they're using Instagram to do window shopping. So they might not visit your business in person. They might do window shopping by you looking at your stories, looking at your profile. 60% of people are making a purchase decision based off of someone's Instagram profile.
Wow. So, okay. So you're making a good pitch to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I have so many different social medias that I have to manage already.
Yeah.
Like I said, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, and I use Twitter, or now they call it X apparently.
Yes.
I still haven't gotten used to saying that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is there like a point of diminishing returns? I mean, are there certain essential social medias that people should be focusing on when there's so many options out there?
Yeah, so I personally use LinkedIn and Instagram. I really have grown my presence utilizing Instagram. So I lead a couple of book clubs, and I wouldn't be able to communicate with the authors as easily without the use of Instagram. Instagram, you can tag someone in a post, they get notified through direct message, just if you check their direct messages. And people are like, oh, this is so awesome that you shared my information. So then they post that post to their followers. And then you get all their followers noticing your profile. So I've gotten a really good conversation with an author that was visiting this area from Arizona. And I was going back and forth with her, back and forth in messaging. And we just had this amazing conversation. And then I invited her to do a book club for my junior league. So it was so much fun to have that conversation with a random person, an unknown person. She connected with me. I told her about the amazing book that she wrote. And then she came back and did a book club for my group for junior league.
Wow. So you're really increasing your reach by doing that.
Yes. I think Instagram is one of those platforms like LinkedIn that you can grow your thought leadership and really have a one-on-one conversation with someone.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I want to learn a little bit more about Valentina.
Yeah.
Tell me about 10-year-old Valentina. Where did you grow up? What was your early life like? And did you always imagine that you would go into this super marketing career trajectory?
Well, let's just get started. I'm from Miami, Florida. I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would move to Pennsylvania, ever. Like this is
Did you also think that it was like old farmlands over here?
I just thought that I was going to freeze, and I definitely froze this past winter. That really tested me.
We were under freezing for quite a few weeks, but it wasn't just us, it was the entire Northeast.
Yes. So I'm from Miami, Florida, very diverse area. And then I wanted to be a veterinarian. I love animal sciences. I actually went to school for animal sciences in college at the University of Florida. So I was determined to be a veterinarian. And then life has a fun way of making fun of you. And life's like, you know what? You would be good at business. And I kept taking all these career tests in college, and it said, you should be a business owner or a marketing person. I'm like, no, I am adamant. I want to be a veterinarian. So I went all the way 6 hours north from Miami to the University of Florida. And I determined I actually am really good at business. I'm really good at sales and marketing. So I switched my major to animal business. I graduated in 2008, the best year to graduate college, 2008. And I was living in Tampa, Florida, and the recession was so badly hit in Florida.
The whole housing bubble burst, It
was horrible. But that was good because I ended up going back to school, getting my master's degree. But that 10-year-old Valentina would never have thought that she would be in Pennsylvania doing marketing. And I've been in business for 14 years as a marketing consultant. I feel like that's a long-winded question. Answer. Yeah,
well, I'm curious if you ever thought of putting together the marketing and the animal thing. I mean, I know there's like a lot of social media accounts that are basically profiling different kind of animals. They actually belong to people's pets. The pets have their own social media handles. So have you ever thought of putting those two things together?
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. Just to manifest it, I would love to have a client where I'm working with them, whether it's in animal sciences or like veterinary or boarding facility, or a horse. I studied horse business, actually. So I would love to work with equine industry. That's why if you see my social media handles, it's Equine Valentina. So I studied horse business at the University of Florida.
Wow. Yeah. Now, I know on your LinkedIn, there is a dot before your name. Is there like a certain strategy in putting a dot before your actual name on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff that I talk about, I learned from Richard Bliss. He's a very expert in LinkedIn. He's a LinkedIn guru. And he has this thing where he's like, let's just identify as the Richard Bliss's community. So you put the dot in front of your name. And this, we all know that we're all, buddies and members and friends of Richard Bliss.
Oh, interesting. I thought it was like something that helps with the algorithm that people notice your name better on.
No.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be putting dots in front of my name.
But... Like if someone messaged you, you get a lot of private messages on LinkedIn.
It's mostly spam.
Yeah, if someone does the dot, first initial, because I go by Valentina, my middle name. So if they do the .m, I know that they're spamming me.
Oh, wow.
Like that. That's a mic drop moment right there. So I know if someone's spamming me when they put the dot there.
Okay, so I will not put a dot in front of my name. Okay, duly noted. Otherwise, you'll ignore all my messages.
Yes.
But you were in Florida and then in Tennessee.
Yes, I was living in Tennessee, right? Like I love that we have something in common, that we both moved here the same month last year.
Right. We both moved here in June 2025.
Yes.
But tell me a little bit what that moving process was like here.
My goodness, can I pull my hairs right now?
By all means.
For anyone that's looking for a house right now to purchase in the Lehigh Valley, it was so difficult, Rabbi, because every Friday, Saturday, which was the easiest time to look at houses with my family, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we would look at houses. And then I'm like, oh, I love this house. I really want to be in the specific school zone. And then what happened? We got outbid, waived inspection. People will waive the inspection.
They'll just go right for it and they'll worry about it afterwards.
I can't tell you how many houses I saw in the Parkland area that are from the 1960s with a 1960s kitchen.
Right.
The oven doesn't work. And people buy these.
People buy these things anyway.
They buy these things.
And that means that they can afford to then gut it and do other work on it afterwards.
Apparently.
That's crazy.
So it was just so frustrating. I would go look at these houses and, envision this is going to be this kid's room, my office. Like I had all these visions, these dreams. And then I would put the offer. And then on Monday morning, I would be crying because I was like, we got outbid. The way the inspection, we refuse to buy a house here without having the inspection because we're not from here. We come from Tennessee.
I mean, that's the responsible thing to do.
Yeah. So, and then the last time we put an offer, someone put a cash offer. And it was so heartbreaking.
Can't beat that.
So we're so thankful we found something. We just moved in recently, last week.
Oh, congratulations.
So we just moved in last week, but it was super humbling. And I saw someone that's in the same process. I teach girls on the run after school, and someone's doing the same thing, one of the coaches. And I'm like, you have to be very patient. And I told her my struggle, and you just have to be very patient out there.
I had a similar situation. Right now we're renting in a townhouse.
That's what I was doing the first year.
So we're enjoying it. It's very good for where our family is right now. But we were going on a walk with some of our friends this past Saturday. And we are both going on the same website, it was like realtor.com.
So you're competing with each other.
Well, they're a little bit more adamant that they want a house sooner than we are. We're like willing to wait a little bit, which I'm not sure is a smart move.
Yes.
But we'd pass by houses on our walk in the west end of Allentown and say, that's my house over there. And then like your story, somebody already put a higher bid for it or a full cash offer for it.
Yeah.
But it's like you look at it and you're like, that's like the unrequited love. Like I already imagined my family moving in and that's where the kids would sleep and that's where the dog, we don't have a dog, but I'm saying in theory, that's where the dog would go. And this is the kitchen that I wanted. So I totally get that feeling. It's like you build up this whole vision in your head and it gets crushed.
Emotionally drained. And the thing is, like, I was just saying this in a woman's path, and this is a question you're going to ask. When people ask me, what is that one thing that you would tell someone marketing wise? And I would say, you have to be consistent, because if you don't post about yourself, your competitor will, and then you'll think about your competitor. So when I think about it, I really want a specific house. I'm coming from the South. My budget is completely different, perhaps than you that are coming from New York.
Yeah.
So my budget, I'm coming from a Southern budget where the cost of living is so much cheaper. So I said this in a women's panel last month at Easton. I'm like, this is what forces me to post. This is what forces me to ask you for a sale. This is what makes me ask him, hey, what do you do for a living? Because I have to push myself to get business, because I want those things in life. I want the same things that everyone else wants, but it's just going to be a little bit harder for me, perhaps because I'm coming from a different, situation.
And that definitely drives ambition. So here's what I'm curious, it sounds like you have to work really hard on posting all the time, commenting on people's posts, engaging with people to get your stuff out there.
Yeah.
So how do you balance mastering the social media without becoming addicted to it?
Well, let me tell you some stats here, because I think your viewers would appreciate that, especially the analytical types, the type A's. To me, type A's, they type awesomes. When you post on LinkedIn, it gets 1/10 the reach. When you comment on a post, it gets 1/3 the reach. So you're stressing, oh my gosh, should I post all the time? But intentionally, you should just comment, because your comments get more reach than your actual posts on LinkedIn. So let me repeat that for the people in the back that didn't hear me. And the people that are multitasking. I love people that are watching podcasts or listening to podcasts and they're multitasking. I was literally unpacking my house and binging on your amazing podcast, by the way. But let me repeat that again. When you post something on LinkedIn, it gets 1/10 the reach. When you comment, it gets 1/3 the reach.
Wow.
So when you're posting on LinkedIn, in that 1 hour after you post, 10% of your audience are seeing your post.
So you can't just throw it out into the ether and hope that everything will work out well.
Yeah, so like for example, we're at Jay's Local right now. You can't just post something and say, okay, I'm going to order a chai tea latte right now. You cannot walk away from your post because he might be commenting, she might be commenting. And then if you're not responding back, you're losing your momentum on that post.
Wow, that's okay. That's a good lesson for me because many times I put a post out there and I go back to work. But so how do you do that without becoming a slave to the social media?
You put those boundaries.
Yeah.
You put those boundaries. Like there is apps on your phone that tell you to stop.
Oh yeah.
Put a limit. There's on my phone, at least there's a limit. It's a freebie app. It's actually from my iPhone. And you just say how much time you want to be on social media. So then I press ignore all the time because I do what I do for a living.
You don't have a choice in the matter.
The thing is, you're in your world, you're helping others, you're in service of others. So you have to, appreciate.
I to engage with real people. Yes.
In your world, you have to engage with everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's really important.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something I'm interested in because I saw the Wall Street Journal report. I mean, other news outlets as well.
Yeah.
This is March 25th, 2026.
Yeah.
Very recent, just less than a month ago.
Yes.
There's a report that Meta and YouTube lost a landmark social media addiction trial. So should we be worried that these organizations that we're using to market ourselves are really kind of manipulating and taking advantage of us?
That is a good question. I think it goes back to what I just said. It's all about what you do. It's all about how you control it yourself. Like it depends on certain situations. Like for example, if you're a business owner like me, you have to do these things. You can't control it.
Right.
If it's someone like, just a random person that doesn't do this for a living, that doesn't sell themselves, but who doesn't sell themselves?
Yeah.
Whether you're in a corporate role or you're a business owner, you have to sell yourself.
So this is what I'm struggling with. Now, I don't like putting the ages of my kids on the podcast, but we're blessed with younger kids, thank God. I know you have kids that are older than ours.
Yes.
So how are you navigating social media and technology for your kids? I mean, are you trying to train them to become little marketers like you, or what's the plan?
Well, it's funny that you asked that. I'm gonna deviate a little bit. I do a lot of speaking engagements, and I take my kids to speaking engagements. So I am teaching them to be little marketers. To answer that second part of your question, I was recently in Germany and I taught a LinkedIn class in a university in Germany.
That's so cool. How do you get that gig?
Well, that's for another podcast.
That's for another podcast. You have to come back for more.
I want to come back for more. But the thing is that they were my little, cameraman. They were my little camera girls. So they were recording. They got my iPhone. They recorded me.
Wow.
To work. But they were my people there.
So they're like your little apprentices.
Yeah, so that's exactly the word for it. So one of them was recording. I had to split it. So one got the phone 1 minute, the other one got the phone the other minute. But we were constantly engaged. I had them to work. But the thing is, like, so there's people that give their phones to their kids, give phones to the kids. I have a landline right now. So if I have that as a backup. So I have a landline in my house if they want to use it, if someone wants to reach us, but they have their iPads. They don't have phones right now. So we're just slowly getting into it.
Oh, that's good. So you're doing this in a slow, methodical, thought out way.
Yes.
I mean, I get worried because I see people giving iPads to their kids.
Yeah.
They're like, the kids are 5 years old and you're going in a 10-minute car ride and they need to have a screen in front of them the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when like the DVD players came out of the cars, but this feels like next level. And I'm just concerned that if I don't moderate myself, what's going to happen to my kids?
Yeah, they say there was something that I think every buffer question answer is like, you do what you emulate what you want your kids to see. So if you're always on your devices, they're going to want to be on their devices.
This is a good lesson to me. I gotta start putting on some limitations. Otherwise, my kids.
Your kids are tiny still. When they're older, they're going to be like, you know what? My dad had to do this because of his role.
I like to rationalize it. It's all for the profession.
Tell them you're like, whatever your kids are called, you should say, I'm doing this because that person just had a death in the family or they're going through a hard time. So I have to respond to this phone call.
There we go. That's a much better way to put it.
Yeah.
The real answer is they should probably follow my wife's example, who hardly doesn't even remember her Facebook login.
She's so blessed. She's so blessed that she doesn't have to do this. Like we do that. We have to do it because of what we do for a living.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I want to get into, you talk about empowerment versus dependency in marketing.
Yeah.
Tell me about how your approach to marketing is different than other marketing professionals.
So the thing is, like, I work for myself. I've been in business for 14 years, so I have to consistently post. I have to consistently put myself out there. But there's people that don't have to do that. They work for a role, they work for corporate America, or they don't have to do this for a living. So I have to constantly post something. But I try to be authentic. I try to talk about what matters to me, what is real to me. And if I have a speaking engagement like with you today, I'll post it out there. But I think it would be beneficial for people to do that. They have to put themselves out there. They have to do these sort of things to get ahead.
So this is what I'm trying to figure out. And, you know, I'll be vulnerable for a moment. This is something I struggle with, which is I think you, myself, and many people out there, we all have important things that we want to share and share our talents and ideas with a broader population.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to figure out is how do I balance the self-promotion without it becoming self-aggrandizing?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want people to go on social media and say, oh my God, Moshe Kurtz just published another, you know, picture, another thing, and for the millionth time, I'm blocking him finally. So how do
they would never do that, by the way.
Oh, if they did, I wouldn't find out, so it's fine. So my ego is still saved.
Yeah, yeah.
But how do you balance that authenticity of promoting your brand while also not getting people to roll their eyes?
Well, the thing is, you have to identify what's important. Like I said, I don't always post all the time. I always try to be intentional. And that's why I have the different social media platforms. So on Instagram, I'm talking about a business that I just discovered. I'll post something in stories and they disappear within 24 hours. If it's on LinkedIn, I'm doing thought leadership posts. So, you know, you might be promoting the podcast all the time. And that's good because you want to increase your viewership and you want to educate people. When you think in your mind, I want to educate people versus, you know, sales pitch, that helps you have that North Star where you're like, okay, I'm trying to help people.
That's really important. I appreciate that advice. That's having the mission down pat. I'm trying to help people. And if that's the criterion that I'm using, people hopefully see that and appreciate that.
Yeah, you don't know what someone's going through. You don't know if they're dealing with something personally. Maybe they're looking for a house right now and they're going through some heavy stuff. Seeing your posts, seeing your thought leadership might guide them, might provide some sort of relief that they otherwise wouldn't have had.
Okay. Well, don't make me think too highly of myself, but I do appreciate it. But here's something else that actually interested me. So you've talked about the untapped potential in the Hispanic market's significant buying power.
Yes.
So that suggests to me that currently the Hispanic market's buying power is undervalued.
Oh, yeah.
Can you unpack that for us?
Yeah, so it's a very loaded question, but last time I checked what Hispanic, just for a year, every year they bring $1 trillion buying power, $1 trillion in buying power.
This is Hispanic community in the United States?
Yes, in the United States. So we have a $1 trillion buying power. So this is huge. If you want to start diving into the specifics, but just start thinking about how can I cater my brand to cater to those individuals when they have a $1 trillion buy. And that's an old stat from maybe years ago.
Oh, so it's even bigger now.
That's even bigger now, and especially when we live in a place like this, Allentown, where 70% is I think I heard that in another podcast.
So I think you're referring to, we have Victor Martinez on from La Mega, which is the premier Spanish-speaking radio station in the area.
Yeah.
So he's at Allentown is over 50% Hispanic.
Yes.
And then Reading also is a very significant number, in the Lehigh Valley broadly. So that's a significant part of the population that you would say is being undervalued right now.
Yes, exactly. And there's different ways to approach different people. I'm from Miami, where it's culturally diverse. We have different ethnicities, different countries represented. So I'm going to approach a Cuban much different than a Colombian versus someone from Central America.
That's a really good point that you're making, which is those who aren't in the Spanish-speaking or Latino community don't necessarily appreciate that. It's, you know, those who are on the inside might not just see it as one big blob called the Hispanic community. That if you're from Puerto Rico, if you're from Venezuela, if you're from somewhere else, there's different subcultures with their own nuances, right?
Exactly. So when I talk to someone from Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, I'm like, hey, how are you? What's up? Versus a Colombian, I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. Like, it's very formalized. So there's different approaches and different ways to talk to these individuals.
That's really important.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, the big buzzword these days is artificial intelligence.
Yes, you're going to go there.
Okay, so I mean, I feel like everyone has to talk about artificial intelligence, right, guys? So, I mean, I see artificial intelligence being used in writing posts on social media, creating photos on social media. The president just did one that was relatively controversial, but we don't have to go over there because this is my
controversial.
This is my one break from politics podcast. I've had a lot of politicians on recently, so I like using this as our buffer. But you know, you're the guest, so you could choose which way you want to go with it.
Okay.
How should we be using AI? And how do we ensure that we talked about authenticity?
Yeah.
How do we ensure that we are not losing our authenticity in the process?
Yeah, it's so funny that you asked this. I just did a blog post on Sunday and I talked about this. So I'm coming up with these posts on my blog, and I basically tell AI, what are things that I'm missing that I should cover to increase my SEO, which is search engine optimization, for my website, specifically in the Lehigh Valley. And then it's like, oh, you should talk about this. You should talk about this. So I did one blog post about contractors and what they're missing with their social media. So people that do plumbing, electricians, all those AI-proof jobs at the moment, like plumbers and electricians. And I'm like, what are they missing with their social media marketing? So I told the AI, I said, I want you to come up with questions. I'm going to answer it. And I don't want you to do anything but check her grammar and typo.
That's it.
And I did it. So it came up with all these random questions. I was like, okay. So I came up with the blog post, and that's what I did. Last Sunday, I did another blog post, how you can stand out utilizing AI in an authentic way. Again, same thing. It came up with these questions, and I answered with my thought leadership of 14 years of being in business. So it asked a question, multiple questions, and I just filled it in with answers. And that's it, because I don't know what the study was. I don't know, Rabbi, if it was the Harvard Business Review or something like that, where it says
that's out of my area of expertise as well.
But they say something about how AI, depending on AI, is reducing your critical thinking skills. So so you have to push yourself. So you could easily just say, hey, write up a blog post saying, you know, all this stuff. But I said, no, come up with questions to ask me, and then I'll fill in the questions. So my brain had to think, okay, what would be the best way to answer this question? It was like 10 questions. And I came up with the blog post, and I said, I want you to just clean it up for grammar and typo.
Right.
And I wanted to keep the same voice, but do give me a call to action paragraph at the end.
Well, this is something important in my profession as well. I'm not accusing clergy of using AI to completely write their sermons.
Yeah.
But my rule is that if a sermon sounds like AI could have written it, then that's not a good sermon. So if you just go up there and talk about very nebulous ideas that, you know, we're all just a community, and it's about the light, and it's about Hakuna Matata, and then call it a day, you know, and you can't actually cite sources and make a unique argument. And it's even if AI had no involvement in it, but it sounds like something AI could have just come up with, then what's the value added at that point? Where's the human element?
Yes, that's the thing. That's the problem. So you have to put AI in a way where you prompt it and you make it sure that you still answer the questions yourself, that you still provide that feedback, that you provide a story. So I share a lot of stories. So the one I did about the contractors, I said, I would trade my master's degree to be a plumber. How many people would say that? And I always do that. Every time I have a plumber come home to my house, I even had one come over when I just moved. I'm like, I would trade my master's degree just to be a plumber because I want to be AI proof, I told him. And then we got into a lovely discussion about how AI is not going to replace him. So I always come up with stories. I think like what you said, people appreciate the storytelling. People are going to remember you based on your stories.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, when you're not busy doing marketing, I mean, there's certain professions in which, you know, like in the rabbi profession, I'm never truly on vacation. I mean, I was going to Lehigh Valley Zoo the other day with my family, and then someone just like out of nowhere was like, oh, are you Jewish? And like, oh, we just joined the community, we're looking for a synagogue. So I'm never truly on vacation. It's really wonderful. Yeah. So, I mean, I imagine, you know, as a marketer, even when you have free time and you're going around, you're like always have that eye for how can I use this for my next post? How can I use this for my next speaking engagement? Yeah. But when you are doing recreational time, I know you're also relatively new to the Valley. Yes. So what do you like to do around here?
That's a good question. I'm a foodie. So I love food.
So like I'm at Jay's Local.
I'm at Jay's Local. I already know what I like to have there. So it's like I know what each place has. So I'm all about food. If you feed me, I'll show up. So
We in the Jewish community, we have a similar philosophy as well.
Yeah.
It's any event, there has to be food at the end. Otherwise, the attendance will drop like 50%.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm all about discovering new places. I do want to put a request for anyone. If you could put it in the comments or in the replay, if you're watching the podcast, good hiking trails. Like I used to hike all the time in Tennessee. I've yet to hike here.
Do you have any recommendations from our folks over here? Trexler Nature Preserve.
Yeah.
She's referring to our listener. She's our audience member just shared with us that she's referring to the trail. It's at the Lehigh Valley Zoo, and there's like a little bit of like this river right by the zoo. You don't need.
I heard that yesterday.
So
Someone told me.
It's a lot of fun. So you could actually drive over the water when it's not too high. So our daughter's like always like hanging on for dear life that we don't drown in the water on our way out.
Goodness.
8 miles. This place with 8 miles worth of trail for those who are more adventurous than I.
Don't have little kids.
I'm like anything under a mile is what I do. I'm not
that.
The fish hatchery as well.
Hatchery too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love that. That's awesome.
These are great suggestions. Thank you.
I want to look at the comments when we post this podcast to see what people say.
You recommend other places to go.
Yeah, we want it kid-friendly, less than a mile or a mile and a half, and that there has to be a foodie place right afterwards.
Excellent. Well, this is why we like to have like a live audience here. We get some additional ideas.
Yes.
I appreciate it, guys. Okay. Now, Jim Thorpe.
I heard
If
about
you're willing to drive 40 minutes, Jim Thorpe is gorgeous this time of year.
Yes. Okay.
Coal mine town, and there's a train that goes on for 2 hours. Okay, excellent. There's a lot of cool things to do in the valley.
Yes.
Now, speaking of things in the valley, you do a lot of marketing. I attempt to do some as well, probably not as professionally, but that's why I come to learn.
Yes.
But there's also a lot of people in the Lehigh Valley that are doing super important work who aren't necessarily putting themselves out there. And I would say, credit to them. They're probably just so focused on the good work they're doing that they forget to do the marketing. Yeah. Who are important people or organizations doing work that you've gotten to meet that we should know about?
Well, I'm a Rotarian, but I want to do a plug for the Junior League. So I'm in the Junior League of Lehigh Valley, and I transferred from Tennessee to the one here. And Katie Jones is our current president, and she does a remarkable job with her leadership at the Junior League. She is someone that's, probably a little bit more reserved than I am, but she does great things, and she's doing great things with the Junior League this year. And Junior League is all about empowering and supporting women and children causes in the area. There's Junior Leagues all over the country, but the one here is specific to the Lehigh Valley.
So what do they do at Junior League?
Yeah, so we meet up once a month. We do a lot of projects like where we empower and help women causes, children causes. So we do a lot of projects in the area that help those communities.
Now, I know you're involved in the Women's Business Council as part of Lehigh Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, I joined the chamber earlier at the beginning of this year, so I'm involved with the Women's Business Council.
So what is the kind of landscape right now of women in business? How are things looking?
It looks good. I think, again, it's all about putting yourself out there, right? In an intentional way, like we talked about previously. So it's just being out there, putting yourself out there. There's so many women businesses. There's so many women minority businesses. It's huge right now, growing right now. And I think a lot of people, because of AI, are starting these side hustles, are starting these side businesses. So we have to put ourselves out there to promote our businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, final question, which is, we walk away from today and we only remember one thing. What is the number one marketing lesson you want to share with us?
I think you have to put yourself out there and be consistent. I say this every single day. If I don't put myself out there, my competitor will. And who you're going to think about? My competitor. So I think it's important to have a plan, use AI wherever you have to keep yourself consistently out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Valentina Escobar-Gonzalez, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Rabbi.
And I appreciate you joining me as I walk through the valley.
I know, it was fun walking with you.
Thank you for joining me as I walk through the valley. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and subscribe to our show. If you have questions or would like to book a live recording or have a speaking request, please email rabbi@sonsofisrael.net. This is Moshe Kurtz. I look forward to having you join me next time as I walk through the valley.